So I think PG has hit upon this issue of ground level reality of coming down from 35,000 feet to the ground level couple of 100 feet of implementation is going to be the real proof of the pudding on this. But that being said, I think there are a couple of elements in the policy which I think need to be looked at. And one is the transformational nature of what we see on the horizon being defined as 5G. So I think we were all surprised by what could happen in terms of the marketplace in terms of 4G, right? And we saw the significant disruption that 4G brought in the period of 2 years, right? In terms of consolidation, customer experience, dominant technology, all of these things. And more as I look to see what is being positioned as the characteristics of 5G, I'm beginning to sense that yes, the hype behind 5G, even if it's skinny down, is going to be quite transformational in terms of what happens when 5G really takes a hold of it. So I think it's appropriate for the country and for the industry to say, how do we latch on to ensure that from a country sovereignty perspective, we ensure that we are not laggards in this. I think that's an appropriate perspective to have. And the second focus, I think, which is appropriate, is that as a country, what is the unique thing that we can contribute if we are going to position 5G in terms of a leading proposition for India? And that is saying is that making it available for all. Now, whatever that means, I think we have to be at the forefront of showing in this region. We can't default to China as the model anymore, right? We have to begin to start saying, how do we begin to ensure that this notion of connecting just about everybody who wants to be connected, how does that materialize in terms of affordability, network configuration, all of the elements of the value chain? And I think that is somewhere where we can take the lead, because increasingly people are viewing us as a viable alternative to the China model. So I think we have to finesse that in order to really cement our position going forward. So I think that second perspective, I think, is an important one. The third point is a realistic understanding of saying, when you look at the industry, there is enough caveating in terms of the wording on spectrum pricing and all of this, not looking at the industry as an extractive industry and all of this, to give hope to the notion that finally we must get away from this extractive mentality where revenue is the only proposition for the industry. If you're looking at 100 billion, then you have to be realistic in terms of how is the industry, because the government certainly is not going to contribute anything. This is, although you say PPP, it's all private, right? It's not public-private anymore, right? So that is the challenge that we have. So I think focusing on the issue of saying, how do we address the financial well-being of the industry, because there's cascading impacts, right? I mean, you take it from the operator community all the way down, you can see this, right? All the way down to NPAs and banks, right? You don't get more in debt. So I think those three areas, from my perspective, if we continue to look at and focus on vis-a-vis the policy and saying, how do we make these a reality, I think that would be what I say, progress. Thank you.